And welcome to Live from the Lake. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Jen.
I'm Mason.
And I'm Noah.
Let's dive on in. Anybody have anything interesting to start with today?
I saw something on Twitter.
Well, you were quick.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about this.
You got something. That's
yeah,
good.
I saw something on Twitter yesterday. Well, X yesterday, I think, regarding, in relation to Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks guy. So there's
Does he still live? Isn't he like outcast?
he's in
He
jail
lives in an embassy. Yeah, I think he's stuck in.
stuck somewhere?
since
yeah.
like 2019 in London or something like
Yeah.
that. But so someone that is a real big fan of his apparently, and is also very wealthy, put it like in protest, put like $45 million worth of artwork, like a Picasso, like a couple Picassos,
Yeah.
some
Cool art.
Warhols,
Expensive.
yeah, like expensive shit. He put it all into a 32-ton safe that I believe is currently in a museum somewhere. And connected to this safe is a barrel of acid powder and a second barrel that's full of an accelerator. And those barrels are both tied to a dispense system, which will put them into the safe, which would ruin all of the artwork. And those are on a 24-hour timer that is to be reset by a member of staff of the museum after hearing from somebody who's quote-unquote close to Assange that he is still alive.
Okay. Now I get the point.
And they're also saying that if he is
So that's
guilty and is convicted, that they will do it then also. So they're like gonna trash a bunch of artwork if they don't let Julian Assange off. That whole topic
You know what this sounds like to me?
Super controversial.
It sounds like a Banksy. Like
Yeah, a
it
little
sounds
bit.
like bullshit.
Someone's gonna repurchase all of that artwork, even though
or
it's
there's
trashed.
not really
How do you
artwork in
find
there.
all of
Yeah,
that artwork?
something like
How
that.
does one come about multiple Warhols and Rembrandts?
Well,
and
there's collectors
Picassos?
that have
Yeah,
there's
that was the
collectors
third
that
one,
have
was
art.
Rembrandt.
There's plenty of people that have art,
People
but
that collect art are not
love art.
collecting it
Yeah.
to be crazy and destroy it.
or to invest in it. It's one or the other, but
Yeah.
it's using it as collateral to
Or
to,
make a huge political statement, or try to at least.
Yeah, it's weird that those two things go together though, right? A couple weeks ago, the people threw the soup on the
Mona Lisa.
the plexiglass that stood in front of the Mona Lisa in order to make a statement. They didn't have money to flush to actually trash a piece of their own personal art. I don't know. That's a weird one. That's really strange.
I mean,
The bigger potential thing there is they're suspecting that he's dead. Is what it sounds
already.
like. Well,
Like-
isn't that
Well,
what
they
you
want
just said? Didn't you
confirmation
just
of
say
that he's
it's sounding
alive.
confirmation
like-
of life?
Information of life
Or-
every 24 hours from one of his like family members or close friends or
There's
something.
a noose around his neck.
Sounds like maybe. I mean,
Metaphorically,
I have no idea though.
The thing is, destroying artwork, you're taking something beautiful that somebody else created away from the whole world.
Well, and in this case, it's something that is renowned and accepted by the whole world as a timeless piece of art, and it's super duper valuable because there's only there's actually like a ton of Picassos, but there's only so many that are of a high quality and are valuable.
Highly valuable, right.
And it's one of the few things I think that the vast majority of the population of Earth can agree that those paintings are beautiful and therefore super valuable. The whole painting and art sale thing is extremely weird to me. It's all based off of who painted it, to a certain extent.
Yeah. I guess
Yes,
at
it
some
is.
point it is.
I mean, like you could have one really good painting become super duper famous and never do anything that's that outstanding ever again, and there's still a high likelihood of it selling if you're already super famous.
Yeah, I think the key is getting famous. That's not a typically easy thing to do, and somebody,
Well, and while you're still alive,
that like
for
never,
artists.
that actually never happens really. Yeah, I don't know. I think to piggyback on that, I don't know. I don't know. It's a very very strange conundrum. It's weird. We're gonna take high value art. We're gonna blow it up if you don't prove that this person's alive, or we're gonna blow it up if you convict this person, and you think you're gonna hold the government hostage.
yeah,
It's like,
With
I'm going to
artwork.
blow up my house if you don't do what I want. Like, they don't really give a shit about your house. It's not going to cost them anything. It's no skin off of their back. It's just it's a very weird thing, very public. It feels like it literally
hoax.
feels like a Banksy. It feels like this is something that's
Something
going to
you'd
get a
hear
lot
about
of
on a
media
podcast.
attention. What?
Something you'd hear about on a podcast.
Yeah, something you'd hear about on a podcast. It feels to me like a hoax. You're going to get a lot of attention, which is what they're looking to accomplish. Obviously, I don't know that it's going to actually sway any governmental, outcomes. But what the hell do I know?
well, I mean, yeah, that's the big thing is that like you're doing this, but theoretically, every government in the world has systems put into place for things like this to not have any impact on a ruling.
There was a very important word there, which is theoretically.
Theoretically,
The,
but-
the reality of the situation is that this is you're trying to sway the American government, which is
Yeah.
probably
Well,
less,
and you
less
have-
likely than some other places.
Because you have multiple people making one decision. So
I think the other
even
weird
if you
thing-
sway a couple of them, you're not going to sway all of them in most cases.
The weird thing I'm thinking about in this case is that, like, I predominantly work with music, so I'm always thinking, like, in this situation, I'm thinking, well, thank God music is just, like, nobody's appreciating the master tapes of any records, you know what I mean? I haven't heard the
They should
actual-
be.
No, but how many people have the opportunity to hear the legitimate original lacquer pressings of an album? Nobody. So it's not like if it would be a terrible thing if someone was holding up the original master tapes for the original 2-inch tapes for all these famous records. But the reality is that doesn't affect the way that the art resonates with people in any significant way when 99.9 something % of people are taking in that art through streaming or a reproduction of it. And so in a similar way, my mind wanders to now more than ever, this, like, if 250 years ago this was happening, those artworks would never be able to be adequately recreated for the
Right, because there weren't
But now we have
high
like,
res
I mean,
reproductions of everything. And so on and so
a similar situation where not everyone's going to go to the museum where that Picasso is, but you can see a fully high resolution version of every painting in every
Yeah.
museum in the world from your house, which is like a huge thing. So while I hesitate to say like, screw it, they don't matter, there is like an aspect of it where it's interesting to see that now they're almost on a level playing field in terms of like, it used to be like, I mean, it's not like there was ever a place where it was like, oh yes, we have all the master tapes. There's no museum to listen to the original, documented recordings of music. Music doesn't operate in that way. It's just distributed
Yeah.
completely differently. It'd be like if museums didn't exist and you just ordered catalogs of prints of your favorite artists for forever and you never saw a real painting. You never saw the, ink on paper or the acrylic. It was just,
Do you feel like books are the same?
I mean, books could, I guess, yeah. Do we have the original printing press, like block?
This is like an argument that's. I mean, where are we going to go with this? Like, there is.
What am I arguing? I'm not arguing.
No. I'm talking the original versus the reproduction, right? With something like music, we're never, ever consuming the
exact
original. We're never consuming it.
Right. That's
In
my point.
fact, we've all agreed to consume like one of the shittiest versions of it in return for a
Immediate.
very large and fast capability to get our hands on mass amounts and mass quantities of music. But we never consumed the real version of it. And I mean, I go to museums everywhere I go because I want to see the originals,
Sure.
and seeing the original, especially from a renowned piece of art, is like a moving thing for me. I don't know why. I'm not, but I like it, and it's cool to see the original Monet or the original Rembrandt or the original Picasso or the original Man Ray or whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of cool art out there, but there's something special about seeing the original versus the repop. And I don't know. I think that the original, there's always something special about it. I do, also believe that it's cool that we're living in a world where, on a TV,
Right.
you can cycle any piece of art that you want.
The
And
access is never a
it's-
bad thing. It's
no,
just,
it's a good thing.
You can have an appreciation, just like the resurgence of vinyl. Like people are, seeking out an interactive experience that is more quote unquote authentic as opposed to like streaming off of your phone. Like it's a closer facsimile to the original reproduction in an essence.
Sort of.
But,
I agree, but I think that that's a funny ass thing, right? Because you have the original Beatles pressing of whatever record that's like, you can buy it and it's $5,000 to get, the first run of, name a
Whatever.
Beatles record. But
Even that's still not the original.
well, no, but it's I get it. There's
It's as
logic.
close
I
as you
understand
can
that
get,
there's
but-
value there. But what's really funny about the whole vinyl resurgence is now you have, records that were recorded in Pro Tools that in a digital format that are being pressed onto vinyl in order to like meet the needs of the vinyl junkies.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so you're taking digital and putting it on analog, like, and we all know that every step, no matter what, in an analog world has degradation, right? So it's like it's just
Well,
weird.
so yeah, you're taking a digital copy, which is worse than an quote.
Well, digital, the beauty of digital is that every repeat is the same, or every copy is the same.
They're perfect, but
But with analog, if you take, and it's funny because kids these days, like you didn't live through the cassette era, which was it was like the cassette era was nuts because especially like all the Grateful Dead tapes, right? You get like the closer you are to the source, the better the tape sounds. And what happens is I got the tape, and then I make a copy for you, and then you make a copy for your buddy, and and he makes a copy for his buddy, and she makes a copy for her buddy, and you get like 12,
shittiest
15,
quality
and it just goes to
very,
shit.
Yeah, it
very
sounds like
short.
gravel.
It sounds just horrible, but people were still consuming it. Now with the beauty of digital, it sounds consistent across the board. But the point is the vinyl thing is funny. Speaking of music, this guy on Instagram, Cody Tucker is his name. I don't know how I got one of the posts, but I got one of the posts and I really liked it, and I got another one and I liked it, and he's been sticking out to me. And today he had a super interesting one. He's this cool dude, wears like a bandana around his head. He's definitely cool, and he gives all of the. I've sent some to you guys. There's interesting things. These people went to high school together, and these people, like he connects dots, right?
Matt Stafford and Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, man, weird
weird
stuff. But also like there were some other ones that were like I don't remember what they were, but they were cool too. Check out Cody Tucker. He's cool. Today's was interesting though. It was about the zombies. And what was the song? No, I told you what it was. Do you remember?
Yeah, time of the season.
Time of the Season.
Yeah.
Biggest zombies tune there is. Monster hit.
Yeah.
Hits in Europe or in the UK or wherever, gets massively large in the United States the following year. They released things in different times, and it was different back then. And they release it in the United States, and it's a giant hit. And it's time for a tour, and there was a big problem, which is that the zombies had broken up by the time it was time to hit the road. So the label, the record company, listen to this, they decided, well, you know, fuck it.
We're still going.
We're going to do this. And so they created not one, but two bullshit zombies bands and had them touring across America. I don't know. I know you're going to be like, well, what were they playing? Were the same song?
Were they playing? Was this like a Milli Vanilli situation?
I don't think it was. No, it wasn't like a lip syncing thing. I assume they were playing the same songs, but back then, this is like, you know.
So they found other musicians.
You didn't really
Oh,
know.
no.
Yeah.
Bands. Like they put bands
People,
together.
okay.
People. And these people were touring around as the zombies.
It sound close enough.
I guess. I don't know. Super weird. They probably found a singer that
That's-
you know, sounded.
Yeah.
But it gets. It
Quite
gets
the bamboozle.
It's
Well,
total
yeah.
bamboozle. Hold on, it gets more interesting. So these two bands, one of them breaks up and fizzles into nothing. The other, two of the three guys stay together, join with a third, and create a new band, and that band was called ZZ Top.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That is
Like, what?
ZZ Top was a zombies.
Cover band.
No, not
but
even
the
a
real
zombies.
cover-
A zombies imposter band.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no. Well, and that
I wonder
also
if it
like
was
couldn't get
the
away
two
with shit
bearded
like that
dudes.
now.
no,
don't
I was
think.
gonna say you can get away with that. A, because if they don't put their pictures on the album,
Well-
you're fine. And B, if they're playing, they could play on the same date on the East and West Coast.
And
they're
no
not
one
gonna
knows the
figure
difference.
it out. They don't
Not
have
back
they don't
then.
have Twitter or a cell phone. They gotta like.
And they're not like live streaming.
Yeah,
on
someone
Dubs.
you'd have to bring like a New
Right.
England newspaper all the way to California and show
Right.
it to somebody,
Right.
and they
What
go,
the-
oh, "Wait, I was
the
at
zombies were here last
Yeah, I was at a zombies show the same day. What the hell? Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's super bizarre,
Who came up with this idea? The
dude.
record
And then
company?
could you imagine if you were
I
on one
saw
of those
like
shows?
a 1 minute thing that was like, here's what happened.
Were the Zombies
boom, boom, boom.
originally an American band or
No.
a British band?
No, British.
Yeah.
But could you imagine if you saw one of those shows like 30,
Who was the
40,
zombies
50
guy?
years later?
The Zombies is the This Year song, right? I always
Yeah,
get this.
will be
our
our
year.
year.
Yeah.
That song. Took a long time to come.
This will be our year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be our year.
Yeah.
And then the other song that we were talking about that time of the season, you guys know that song, right?
Are the Zombies the one that covered Painted Black?
I'm pretty sure that was Eric Burdon and the Animals, but I'm not sure.
Who's the band that we always confuse? There's that band that got the,
The
one
Creedence,
song.
the Creedence song.
Yeah, it's Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, but it's actually the Hollies.
Hollies.
Yeah.
Which the Hollies is.
One of them, Graham Nash.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
the same. It's the same band as something. Something tells me I'm into something good, which is so
is it
weird.
Graham Nash or is it
because-
Stephen Stills? Which one is
No,
it?
no, it's not
One of
Graham
them.
Nash.
It might be
No.
Stevens.
No,
Or is it Crosby?
it's not Crosby.
Not-
It's not Stills. It's Graham Nash. No, you
I
were
think
right
it's
the
Graham
first
Nash.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely him. But it's funny that band is the same band because the Creedence. You know what though? That whole area of music, it's like back to the Laurel Canyon thing, which
We've talked about Laurel Canyon so much.
everyone that's watching this should like learn about Laurel Canyon because it was one of the most. It was like the lightning in the bottle situation.
If you're into music.
Yeah, if you like music, because there was like everyone and their brother living in a very specific region, from like Davy Jones and the Monkees to David Crosby to
The Mamas and the Papas.
Frank Zappa,
The Beach Boys.
like just crazy. The Beatles were hanging out there. I don't think they lived there, but like it was, and there was just music pouring out of there at a rate that was, previously
Insane.
unseen,
Yeah,
and it was insane. And this kind of falls into that category, and at least in my brain, in the timeline of things, and I don't know how that actually worked out.
The Birds were out there too, I think.
Well, the Birds, I think that Graham Nash, no, somebody, one of the Crosby, I would think it might have been
I think
David Crosby was in the Birds. Crosby was in the Birds, and then Crosby, I think, was also in like Buffalo Springfield, and then Neil Young was in Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that kind of incestual thing.
Yeah, it's a weird, like,
Super duper cool. Wonder if the ZZ Top the ZZ Top Zombies band was in Laurel Canyon. I don't know. The people in that show that we're watching right now, the Daisy and the
Daisy and the Six. Daisy Jones
Daisy
and
and
the Six.
Daisy Jones and the Six.
They're in Laurel Canyon.
They were in Laurel Canyon. Like Laurel
Makes sense.
Canyon was the cool
When we
place
watched that movie, that documentary that was on Netflix about
Yeah,
Laurel
the
Canyon,
Jacob
I'm
Dylan
not kidding
thing.
you. I
Yeah.
literally was like, that's where I was supposed to live.
Yeah.
I was supposed to live there. That's where I was supposed to be.
Did yeah, Jacob Dylan did the whole documentary. Did Bob live there or no?
to be. Don't know.
Well, because
I don't
he had
remember.
his whole other. I mean, he also had like the Big Pink and all that stuff. So I don't know.
That
if
was all in New York.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was happening at the same
remember
time.
him being
is
part
mostly
of
what I
the
was saying.
situation.
No, I think Jacob
think
is just. I think he was like coming at it from a music historian
Yeah, he's
perspective and
yeah.
being like, "This was a incredible moment
He's a
in
music
time."
guy. Yeah.
And I
it
mean,
was an incredible
the
documentary.
one that threw me off was Zappa. Like Zappa was there too. Like it's like
they
wow,
were really all there.
like everyone
Yeah.
was there. Really, really interesting piece of historic value and just a kind of incredible story.
Well, and I think it's one that like everybody it's overlooked. Like I don't think a lot of people realize that they were all living in the same spot
Yeah.
at the same time.
I think
which
that's
makes,
true.
Which
I think
makes what they were doing that much more remarkable because you had like
I-
Brian Wilson knocking on Davy Jones's door to jam together because he's bored, but they're also competing on the radio to a certain extent.
They weren't though, I don't think. At least that was the sentiment that I got from the documentary. It didn't feel like a competition. It felt like actually the opposite. It felt like I remember at one point someone was saying, well, it was either the Birds or the Mamas and the Papas. I think it was the Mamas and the Papas got on the radio, and that was the like confident. It was opposite. The
Yeah.
Birds got on the radio, and the Mamas
the
and the
Mamas
Papas
and the
were
Papas
like,
were in New York, and Michelle Phillips, I think, is the one that tells the story in the movie, and she's
I don't know.
they were our friends, and they went to LA, and then all of a sudden they've got a song on the radio, and I looked at whatever his name is, Phillips. I can't think of his first name.
yeah,
The guy, and she was like
Papa.
John. I think his name is John.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was like, if they could get on the radio, we could get on the radio.
Let's
And
go.
he wrote California Dreamin', or
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what that
Yeah.
song's called,
Yeah.
right? Am I thinking
Yeah,
of the right
all
song?
the leaves are
Yeah.
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 He
And
wrote that, and then they
get the
got
hell
it
out
on
of
the
New
radio
York
and
and-
went
the
to
sentiment,
California.
though, the sentiment was, if they can do it, we can do it too. And there was a lot of like everybody equally pushing each other forward. It didn't feel like. I mean, it was like the very
It's-
'60s and that commune kind of.
It
or
felt
communal
very
type of-
communal,
yeah.
and from what we've heard about.
I don't
anyway.
know. I feel like, yeah. Man,
think
to be a
also-
fly on the wall for some of that stuff would have been insane. Because they'd have parties and like you never knew who was going to show up. But you could have a party with like seemingly random ass people that you would never put in the same room were in the same room.
Yeah.
Like somehow Davy Jones from the Monkees. I love the Monkees. They didn't write any of their own music really, not at least most of it. But like Davy Jones is like this likable guy. It wasn't Davy Jones. Everything I'm saying is Davy Jones. It wasn't Davy Jones. It was David. It was David, Mike Nesmith, Peter Tork. Anyway, I think it was Peter. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is like you'd have just random people in a room that you would never otherwise like kind of fit together in your brain, and they'd be jamming together. And I'm sure that just most of the cool stuff was just forgotten and nobody ever saw it, but there had to have been just so much cool stuff that was going on.
For sure. I also think that, like, I mean, for those people, it's probably a little bit different and less impactful. But I also think that there's something to be said about like the situation. Like that situation had to be just a crazy.
Okay,
like,
I found the list.
it had to be just a crazy like source of a lot of different ideas. Like, who knows if all of the songs by the Beach Boys that we know, or by the Monkees, or by the Mamas and the Papas that we know, would have come out had they not lived there. Because I feel like
Yeah.
having that much talent in one spot, you're going to have a sharing of ideas, and who knows, maybe Brian Wilson gave Davy Jones an idea for one of his songs or
Well,
whatever.
I think minimally you can say that it helps shape the sound
yeah.
and whenever you go back that far, that's influential to what occurred after it, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, it impacted things.
I mean-
I'm not sure exactly how.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Don't go too long or hard.
Okay. Joni Mitchell, Frank Zappa, Jim Morrison, Carole King,
Jim Morrison.
The Byrds,
Carol.
Buffalo Springfield, Canned Heat, John Mayall, some of the Eagles, the
Just
band
some.
Love, Neil Young, Brian Wilson, James Taylor, Jackson Brown, Linda Ronstadt, Bonnie Raitt, the Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork,
Mickey. That's who I was thinking
Mickey
of.
Dolenz.
Mickey Dolenz.
Yeah. It just,
Linda Ronstadt, the Stone Ponies. I mean,
It just keeps going.
There was a lot of things happening there. But the other thing that
crazy.
I think, and I'm not
So cool.
positive, I'd have to do more digging and I don't want to sit on my phone, but I think, and this is where my brain goes to the weird things that interest me in the world. I think the house
Madonna
that
was born there.
no, I think that the house
Is
that,
that where
Brian
Riri
Wilson
came from?
I think the house Brian Wilson lived in there
With the sandbox.
is the house that Sharon Tate and her husband, the
Gotta
director,
go to serial killers.
It was
lived in. I think I believe
Dennis Wilson was over there a bunch. I think.
I believe
That was
that's the
connection.
house that she was
Helter
murdered
Skelter.
in. I think it was in Laurel Canyon.
Ooh.
And Helter Skelter was written about that Beatles tune influence, right?
There you go.
No. The murders were influenced by the Beatles tune, not the tune influenced by the murders.
No,
The
he
record
read,
came out in
he
'68.
listened to the record.
murders
and
were in like
That
he
makes
could
sense.
hear
October
them
of
telling
'69.
him to go
Yeah.
kill
I just happened to watch that Tarantino movie, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Have you seen it? It's
Not yet.
Was
I
it
think
good?
it's still his most recent. He did just announce his newest one, which is not Kill Bill 3, which he always said he was going to do like
Yeah, we thought it
a
was
certain
gonna
number
be.
of films. And he said it was his last one coming up. And I think it got, I don't remember the details, but it's underway. They're filming it, and it's not a Kill Bill movie. It's something new. But the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood film, it's got DiCaprio and Brad Pitt playing like a actor stunt double combo in old Hollywood.
So DiCaprio
during,
was in a non-Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this came out 4 years ago, but yeah, or 3 years ago.
Well,
but
he
the,
was
the
in-
whole thing it is surrounding the timeline of the Tate murders. They go to Spawn Ranch. There's scenes at Spawn Ranch. Charlie Manson isn't in it at all, but the murders are like the whole thing.
Is he still
surrounds
alive?
that.
Manson?
I think
think
he just
so.
got out of prison like 1 or
No.
2 years ago.
No.
Hell no.
No.
He-
One
Look it
of the
up.
girls got out.
This man
He,
has a-
he did not get out of
He's either
prison.
going to-
One of the girls
he's either
got
dead
out.
or he's going
No,
to
I
die
think,
in
I
prison.
think
He
he's
will
dead.
never get
I
out.
think
He's not dead.
Oh no, he's dead.
no.
Oh, he is dead? He
He's dead.
died.
Yeah. I was gonna say I
When
would
did he
probably
die?
put money on him. being
2017.
killed. Yeah. Or did he just die, or was
What a
it
7
loss.
years
did
ago.
someone get him?
No,
I
nobody
don't
got
think
him.
that like
Yeah, they
he's in
probably
an
not
open.
really-
Somebody
Like,
get him.
I don't think that
I
he's
mean,
in.
that guy's crazy. Yeah,
50
he probably
years
was
later,
in
the
like
vendetta
he's
has been
probably in
carried out.
solitary,
Yeah.
so he couldn't convince the whole
Yeah, I
prison
got
to
him.
revolt.
I got him, dude. I got
No, but
Charlie
one of his
crazy.
girls got out, which is interesting.
Not
Brainwashed.
too long ago, like a couple of years ago.
I mean,
you
brainwashed,
see it-
sure, but the actual ones that I think maybe this one didn't actually commit. No, I think it did. I think she did commit some murders. I don't know.
I feel like everybody in that whole crew went away for a long
I think the
One of
one
them tried to kill
And if
Reagan, right? Squeaky. Isn't that the Reagan assassination? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she tried to. It was.
It was one of the
it
girls.
was one of Charlie's
I
girls.
think so.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm pretty
know
sure.
that.
It was like an attempted that
That's
in like
crazy.
in
Ronald
the 80s,
Reagan, the actor?
got
Or
no
when he
like
was
No, when he was
in the
president.
80s.
He
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 was
got
like
shot at in
there
the
was an
80s. That I
attempted-
remember.
at
By
his
a
life.
woman named Squeaky. Did
look
you
it
say
up.
Squeaky?
Is that the
Yeah, that's her name, Squeaky Fromm.
is that
She was one of
how
the
the hell do you
like
know
people
that?
on the
I
range.
don't think that's real.
is that the video where the balloon gets shot and he goes missed me, or was that someone else?
No, that wasn't
that-
an actual
That sounds
attempt
like
on his
both.
life.
No,
Someone brought a
It
gun
just
and
popped.
tried to kill him.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, the
It was
balloon-
maybe a
no, the
different
one of
presidential
the balloon popping was
assassination
just a
attempt.
balloon hit a hot light and popped, and he said missed me. That's what I'm thinking of, not a
I don't
him
think
making
it
He
a
was-
did
joke
get shot
about
at.
actually
It was
getting shot.
outside. It was a
I've-
man. He was accosted.
My apologies. This was not for Reagan. This was Gerald Ford's attempted assassination.
Oh, so
And,
one of his
in
disciples.
1975. She was not a part of the Tate LaBianca murders, but she definitely tried to kill Gerald Ford in 1975. She was paroled from prison in 2009, and she
Was she a member
published
of
a book
Charlie's?
in 2018.
She did it for Charlie.
No. She was a member of the Manson family. Squeaky. Yeah, no, she's like
Squeaky clean.
totally like a prominent member.
You know what I think about sometimes?
Lynette
All the children
Alice
that
was
came
her
out of that
birthday.
situation that got put into witness protection.
Oh, they have
You
no
gotta
idea
hope they
who
have no
are.
idea who they really are.
I mean, I don't know.
I have a feeling that's where you came from.
Whoa. Whoa. That was
It would explain a lot of things, but wouldn't you say I've come a long way?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
It's a little too early to tell.
Jury's out. Who knows?
Dude, there were like little kids that lived
No,
there.
I know,
And
that's
there were
crazy.
babies born there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, no, that was like
where
a-
are all
that
those
was
people?
like a-
We don't know. On purpose.
Right. Imagine carrying that stain.
Well, yeah, no. That,
My dad's
Yeah.
Charlie Manson.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
dude, how you doing? I'm
God.
Charlie Jr.
So what do your parents do?
dude,
Well,
I hope none of them are like old enough to remember that.
Old enough.
No. I hope
We're
none of them
talking
were old
grandkids
enough like
now.
when they got taken away.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
Oh, I'm sure they were like
I remember the
12-year-olds
old
and
days.
shit. It's like, oh.
Back on the ranch.
Yeah, that would fuck you
I think
up
this is
for
something
sure.
that could be interesting to talk about. So, like, Charlie Manson. There's the weird Nike people. Do you know about that? You know what I'm talking about? The Nike shoes people. The like,
Whoa,
the
no.
I think it was 2012 maybe.
I don't know what you're
You
talking
know, the
about.
Mayan calendar says 2012 was going to be like the
Well,
end of the Earth.
the Mayan calendar came to a conclusion in in 2012, so everybody thought the
Well,
world was gonna
these
end.
people, there was this like group of folks that got together, and it was like a cult.
This group of guys,
And
Just a ragtag bunch.
No, it was a legit cult.
just some blood tied homies,
And they were like, it's all
you
going to
know.
go, south or whatever, and we need to like kill ourselves. And so I think they did something. They got this little like cabin, and there was all these bunk beds. You don't remember this?
Natch.
No.
They got all these bunk beds, and they went to bed. And I think they gassed themselves or something, and they were found, and it was like a large number of people,
Oh, I do remember that.
and they were dead. All of them were dead, and I think they were all gassed to death.
Mass suicide.
But that's one, and then you've got like the Kool-Aid guy.
I'm sorry, where do the Nike shoes tie
Yeah,
in?
what-
Those
What's up
people
with the
all
Nikes?
like wore black shirts and black pants and black Nike shoes. I don't,
So
I don't
I'm
know why
supposed
I
to
remember
gather that. they are the Nike people. I'm thinking.
You said the Nike
Literally,
people. I
I'm
was like,
thinking you're
where are you
talking
going?
about some weird thing with
no.
literal employees of Nike.
It
and
was
then-
it. No.
First I thought- First I thought that.
This
and
has
I was
like
nothing to
Nike
do with
sites.
Nike.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
then
what
I was like,
about
maybe
No,
he's
no.
talking about the
I think
missiles.
they all wore like this. They had like matching uniforms, and the shoes
Gotcha.
were black Nike shoes.
Well, you know, like
Okay.
you know about the like the Adidas guys, right?
Adidas.
Oh, I mean, like the Russian mafia in their tracksuits. Those are the Adidas guys, right?
I have no idea where you're trying to go, dude.
Oh, I was making a joke about how Dad referred to the people who killed themselves wearing Nike shoes are Nike people.
That was really funny.
Well, the tracksuit guys might be better.
We have
not
nothing
track
against the
runners.
Russian mafia.
Oh, no,
we stay
nothing
away from
against
them.
them.
They're good friends.
In fact, Bert
The
Kreischer
stereotype-
makes them sound
that-
very delightful.
My stereotype was completely based off of the film The Machine. I know nothing of
the film, The Machine.
Yeah.
You know, I did learn a fun fact about Russia today.
fictional.
Not to brag about how good we got it in America,
Oh.
but I believe the percentage of people without plumbing in their house is less than 1% in the United States.
Okay.
That number is 20% in Russia, which
Yeah,
was
there's
surprising
a lot
to
of
me.
parts of Russia that are like Arctic.
I mean, yeah, but
Did
20%.
Tucker tell you that?
No, but
And
20%
did
of
Putin tell you that
homes.
in the
No.
Putin interview?
No,
No, but
20%
Putin did
of
declare today
homes.
that they're pretty close to having a cancer vaccine over in Russia. So
Speaking of that, I saw something. I'm segueing.
Well, it's not as good if you acknowledge the segue, I will say. You
Let
know?
me hop on this segue.
Whoa, is that Dean Kamen?
No, it's Paul Blart Mall Cop.
I remember you
Dean
guys
Kamen is one of the
loving that
coolest
movie.
dudes on the planet. He like turned the
like highlight reel.
turned the dialysis machine from the size of a refrigerator and the size of a briefcase. Created a wheelchair that goes upstairs that had the gyroscope technology in it, and then turned that into the Segway, which they refer to as it pre-launch.
But he's not
The-
the CEO of Segway that died on a Segway. That was the dude he sold it to, or down the line.
He also owns his
cooler
own
than that.
island off the East Coast, I believe, and he flies a helicopter to work every day, working in a warehouse in New York City, I believe. And when he flies in every day, he listens to Top Gun.
I was trying to remember the name of the island, and
Do
I
you
was
know if
going to
he
say the
happened to go
wrong
to the
island.
same
He's
high school as
seceded.
you?
He's seceded from the United States.
Do you
of
mean
America.
like Highway to the Danger Zone?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
Top
right way
Gun.
to do Top Gun.
Top Gun.
What did I say?
You said Top Gun. He
Yeah,
listens
yeah.
to Top Gun.
No, to the Top Gun tune.
Yeah,
Sure,
Top-
sure.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Top
Kenny,
Gun too.
Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
Total badass on the Segway.
KL.
On the Segway.
Oh, I'm sure he's a badass.
So
on
what
the
I was
Segway.
talking
I mean,
about
he
it was
invented
I
it.
was
Did he go to
talking
the same high school as you?
no, but most brilliant
But he
people
did have a pool.
Bam. Apparently, Chernobyl.
Okay.
You know, you guys been hearing about the Chernobyl wolves?
Oh, not the wolves. I was gonna say I watched the documentary on HBO. That was great. Or the
The show,
bio. Yeah, the
like the
biopic.
show.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a miniseries. There
The-
it is. That's the word I was looking for.
the biopic,
Yeah, not a biopic because
not the
a movie.
biopic.
The Biopic.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Anyway,
the
Chernobyl.
miniseries.
You know, people stayed away for a very long time. All of a sudden, there's some activities. People are starting to pay attention. There's these wolves. There's like packs of wolves that are there, and apparently they have been checking on the wolves. They've been checking on the wolves, and these wolves, they're now. I mean, dog life year is 7 years, 8 years. I don't know what it is for a
like
wolf. It's got to be
13
close.
generations deep.
We're deep. They have created like a resistance to cancer. Like they're looking at their genetic code, and it's they said that they're their genetic code looks similar to someone who's going through chemotherapy.
Wow.
Be-
Crazy.
Like because they were born and raised
Radiation.
in the
Hell.
radiation.
I learned something
with
crazy
it.
about
I don't know, but
I was gonna say, are there like
but
Hulk
that could
wolves?
lend itself to like Putin's
Totally.
cancer treatment.
In a similar vein with Chernobyl, there was something that I can't remember where I was learning about it, and I don't remember
Maybe-
the specifics. It was either like an algae or a type of bacteria or something that was growing in Chernobyl. I think I talked to you about this before.
Bacteria is what you said.
Was it? Yeah. So instead of photosynthesis, which would be like turning light into energy, there are scientists that are studying this process we have very little information about, but there's this bacteria that is utilizing radiosynthesis, which is literally turning radiation, which is not a good thing in high quantities for humans,
Into energy.
into a food source, basically, which is kind of remarkable. I mean, if we
crazy.
can figure out how that works and utilize it in some capacity, if you could make a greenhouse, but it's for radiation, then all of a sudden you can have a completely different type of response to something like the next Chernobyl.
You just like tent it
you-
or something, and
You have some sort of defense, mechanism that isn't like just putting sand on the oil spill in the ocean, and it's like
You could put the bacteria on there. They're going to actually consume
turn
it.
into something valuable.
yeah, exactly. You just-
Or you not even in the Chernobyls of the world, how do you utilize it to make it so that you're lining the barrels of nuclear waste that are coming from a nuclear power plant and utilizing just the waste that has radiation in it? You can turn that into more energy, and you all of a sudden have a recurrent source of, okay, this was powering our grid, and now we're able to produce additional energy off of the waste.
Super interesting.
Apparently very cutting edge. I don't know a ton about it, but I did hear about it
I think
recently.
it's a good example of like we don't know. Like there's so much out there that we don't know. What was you would be the person that would know this, but there was a new source of energy that is like completely renewable. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I mean, not in particulars. No, I don't know. Something like really recently.
Yeah, within the last couple of weeks, I think there's been a massive breakthrough.
Interesting. I mean, there was that thing I wrote about with Bob Meyer, the guy that works at Electroharmonics, with the magnetosphere. That was kind of
That's
bizarre.
not what I was
very
talking about.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to go too crazy into it, but Bob Meyer, the company Electroharmonics, they make like guitar effects and stuff.
The
Bob
Qtron.
Meyer was a
The
bunch
like
of
coolest,
the big muff.
some of the coolest pedals out
yeah.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. New York City. Mike Matthews is the owner, and for years and years, from Bell Labs, I think he hired out this guy Robert Meyer, who's a super genius and has designed a couple things for them, but also is potentially working on patents for something that persists in the magnetosphere of the Earth, meaning like the magnetic field and the imperfections within it, to harness some sort of energy using like a satellite that can be beamed down. The energy can be sent from the satellite to Earth. I don't know. It was
That's crazy.
very bizarre. They published something on the Electro Harmonics website that was kind of vague, and it seemed like they were pursuing sort of probably a patent is the thing that you'd want before really coming forward with like
Sure.
how the thing works. But yeah, very bizarre. I haven't heard anything else, and that's a couple of years ago. But I don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
It's okay. My bad. Shouldn't have brought it up.
It's okay. I'm interested.
Should've
I can
known
try
more.
and find it.
No, it was something interesting and new and completely renewable.
Interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting.
It's not that
I
interesting.
mean,
unless we
completely
know about it.
renewable is a
Sounds enticing.
yeah for sure to everybody. I would hope.
Well, when you start talking about nuclear and you start talking about radioactive and you start talking like those are scary words, right?
Oh, for sure. Well,
Nuc-
historically speaking, but the idea behind like the thermonuclear power and all of that is to try and find
Can I say I am so proud of
Renewable
every
source.
one of us in this room? I'm not meaning to make fun of people, but some people just cannot pronounce the word nuclear correctly, and I feel like
How do people say nuclear?
nuclear.
nuclear.
Yeah,
What?
This is not. Maybe it's just a thing with kids my age. It's like
No,
become an
it's a real
accepted
thing.
thing. Like it's
My-
like, oh, some people just say it nuclear, and it's like that is
That's not a word.
It is like, can you say clear? Clear. I have
Yeah,
a piece of clear
clear.
glass in front of my face. Cool. It's
Nuclear.
new clear glass.
Yep.
It's like
Nuclear.
Yeah.
yeah. One of my high school football.
I'm not
coaches,
trying to belittle, but
one of my high school football coaches used to talk about how strong of a nucleus we had, not a nucleus. That bugged me every time, but he was my high school football coach, so I couldn't say anything about it.
Yeah, coach.
We got a real strong nucleus. Yeah, baby.
Nucleus.
Oh yeah,
you said
he
it right.
I said it right that time. Yeah, I can't do it wrong.
That's insane. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a thing.
I don't know.
Nucleus.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's a new thing.
It's really
So you're
no,
talking
it's bad. They just can't say
nucleus versus
nuclear.
I'm sorry.
Nuclear. Or wait, what did I say?
Nuclear.
nuclear versus nuclear.
Nuclear.
Now we're running into the phenomenon
It's
where if you
okay.
say
We
a
gotta
word too
stop
many
this.
times, it just
Yeah.
sounds weird.
Yeah.
Nuclear is correct. Nuclear is the word I'm saying
Yeah.
is commonly used.
Do you guys ever? This is me really opening up.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Do you ever?
Deep dives with Jer.
Do you ever spell a word and like spell it over and over again, and then like double guess yourself? Like, am I
100%.
spelling
That's
exactly
this
what I was just
correct?
talking
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
do when I
totally.
when I
Well,
run
when
into
you're
that
like
conundrum?
writing it,
Yeah,
like-
I Google the word.
I
Or
do
I
too,
pick
or I
up my
put it-
phone and
yeah.
say it to Siri, and
that
then
has like 20 years
writes it
ago.
out.
That happened to me with maybe 30 years ago. It happened to me with the word the,
Oh,
which is so bad. Like, are you
When I
kidding?
worked-
Like the.
when I worked at the place that I worked
HTE?
at for 100 years making signs
say
all the
it.
time.
Yeah, because
I
you're
am
an
not-
artist.
Yeah.
We should take your art and put it into a safe.
Yeah.
And then,
See what we
and
can
then
get to give us money for it.
Threaten various governments
yeah,
to like do what we want, or else we'll put acid on your
Yeah.
art. Okay.
Anyway, I literally can remember being like, is that how you spell the word for?
oh, absolutely.
After you spell it so many times, or
Happened to me with
tree, or
bowl.
like dumb words.
One time I was in the middle of writing an essay and got to the word bowl, like BOWL, and the first time I wrote it, I wrote BOUL, and then I sat there for 4 minutes. I was like, I know that's not right, but it looks right.
It's so
Bowl.
close. What's
I was like,
missing?
what? And then I was like, fuck this, and then
I
I reread it, and I was like, that's not how you spell bowl. I was totally fucking
Bowl?
wrong. What the hell?
No, that's not right.
But I figured it out. I just put a little.
Is that a
line.
weird thing? How that works?
I wonder why that
Sometimes.
happens to people.
don't
It's
know.
got to
Well,
be
I mean,
something
it's-
about the repetition.
Yeah,
It
it's
happened
like
to me
Noah was-
yesterday. I was screwing around looking for things, logo type of stuff, and the word house was in it. And after like looking at it over and over again, like for, you know,
Ooh, it's a coach moment.
Oh, you can hear
let's
Coach
just,
slurping.
Let's just bask in the coachy silence for a moment. Just
you can so clearly hear it.
oh my God, he's a beautiful
It's a
bulldog.
thirsty cup.
It sounds like a well sound in like an old video.
You should post a picture of Coach.
Oh, I'm gonna start taking some video right now. I was trying to find like I'm betting there's like a psychological like name for what we're talking about, like the effect of
Yeah, it's
of
a super
word
weird thing.
starting
But the
to sound
house
weird.
thing, HOUSE, looked dead ass wrong. I was like, how did I screw this up? Like, oh
Yeah,
my God,
no, I've been
I
there
forgot
a
how to
million
spell
times.
the word
Thank
house.
God for autocorrect. Really.
Yeah.
Honestly, and then sometimes I'll just get to a word and be like, I cannot remember how
Oh.
this is spelled.
It's
a
just
word in
a
my
common
vocabulary,
brain glitch
but-
called wordnesia.
Oh wow,
Well, there you go.
I came up with a different term.
Oh.
Mine was semantic satiation.
So Noah's got the
sounds way more real than
Noah's got the
mine.
scientific
Yeah,
name.
one is-
Mom's got
Mine is
Mine came from
brainnesia.
Smithsonian Magazine, so
Oh,
that's
wow.
not like an unreputable
wordnesia.
source. I would
Semantic
assume.
satiation is a psychological phenomenon in which repetition causes a word or phrase to temporarily lose meaning for the listener.
Yeah, no, like I've done that too. You
It
can do
doesn't
it
lose
by,
meaning. It
No, you
looks like
can-
it's spelled wrong.
You can do it by saying stuff too. Look, one time
Can you do it right now?
No, I'm not going to do it right
I bet
now.
you could.
I almost started.
I bet you
doing
could.
it. No, but like if you sit down and say, for instance, bowl, you're like, I'm going to sit here.
BOUL.
Yeah.
BOUL.
No, you're like, no,
Bowl.
I'm going to say bowl 100 times.
Yeah.
By time 100, you're going to be like, dude, what? Like, why is the word bowl the word
How many
bowl? You're
times-
going to be questioning all kinds of realities.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think it's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah. I also think it's weird. Like, I don't know. The whole English language is weird. Someone came up with a sound and decided that it meant something, assigned it X meaning.
that's all of language.
That's how all language works. But
Well, and not only that, but it's also like a hybrid of a bunch of different languages.
the English. Thank you. The English language is not the greatest example, but yeah, language in general is super weird. All the rules.
It was interesting when we were in Germany last year to see how many words in English have a German root.
super close. Yeah, Vater is father. Like it close. Go ahead, Dad. Do you have something to
course.
share?
No,
Half of
I can
English.
hear Coach, which Noah will
I got
post
some
something.
B-roll footage. Yeah, he's going to town on that bone.
He got his first bone
First bone.
of his life. He's
proud.
8 months old, I think. 9 months old.
9 months old.
Little bulldog.
Today, actually.
He's very cute. And he got his first bone today, and he's like really food motivated, and he's really snorty and snoodle. And
Noodle.
He's an English bulldog.
and he's like getting after this bone, and it's very
Yeah.
Sweet.
loud. And
Yeah,
sweet.
we gave it to him, and he went Slimer mode for approximately 2 straight minutes. Just
It was great, actually.
yeah,
I've
Yeah,
learned
yeah.
how to make different noises with my mouth through
Because-
imitation.
of Coach.
Coach,
So
yeah.
much, like
Yeah.
all kinds of. I won't imitate
Noises
right?
you never
Yeah.
knew you
Okay,
could make.
You go ahead.
yeah. No, the
he
noise
does.
like
He does. He's funny as hell.
It's on par for sure with the noise that Snot makes in National Lampoon's Christmas.
It was
Vacation
funny.
when he's just
Call
hanging
back.
on a bone. It's just
Last
that-
week we talked about Christmas Vacation too. Holy
Oh Lord,
smokes!
you just
did.
can't get it off your brain. What
Randy-
were we talking
it's
about
Randy
prior to
Quaid.
the Coach discussion?
I have no idea.
Recall.
Yeah, no, the words, the repetition of
ADHD.
words.
Great job.
Oh yeah, say recall 97,
97 more times, and then we'll lose our
and it'll
mind.
How
have
do we
no
spell it?
meaning for you. Yeah, R-E, no.
Is that the right word?
I have a something to talk about, which is
Let's give them something.
ChatGPT has
Oh, yeah, yeah.
developed some new technology.
What was the
some
name
new
of it?
stuff?
It starts
It's
with
called
an S.
Sora.
Sora.
Okay.
So what you can do now with ChatGPT is you can put in a description, and it will generate up to a 60-second video of whatever you describe. So
Right.
the one example that I saw of it today was, actually I saw 2 examples of it today, but the cooler one, the cooler one that I saw was a description of a mining town during the gold rush and what that would have looked like. So they typed in the description of what it should be, what it should look like, and then it literally like creates a video.
It's insane.
That's,
for clarification. I think it was announced today. I don't know that it's publicly accessible at all.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Because
It will be.
so-
I mean, the reality is like it exists, and
It will be
this is a
getting to that
little
point,
wild.
That's
huh?
gonna,
Like, this is crazy.
That's going to be fucking rad.
Like
because,
turn 3 sentences
whoa.
into a minute-long
And then-
realistic video.
And then you're going to end up getting you could take Caesar's description of a battle from ancient Rome and turn that into a minute-long video.
Yeah, but you could
And-
also you could
Get
do
some
harm with
visualization
this
for that.
too. You could
Oh,
be
yeah.
like, here's a picture of insert public figure name like doing something bad.
Yeah, you could do
Right.
that
Or
too.
I want you to make a video where it looks like this
Yeah.
famous person's being murdered.
Got to look for six
You know what I mean?
fingers.
Or
on the
murdering
hand.
Or
someone.
doing something
or
awful
on
right.
election night, you see that Joe Biden's been taken to the hospital and it's not real.
Not
and it's
but
not
yeah.
real.
You don't know
Exactly.
that.
Like this is we're entering into like a very weird new time.
It's going to be time for us to start plugging in our brains. Our bodies are going to become pods.
What's it
It's
called,
over.
Noah? What's Elon's thing called? The
Well,
brain chip?
Neuralink.
Neuralink.
There you go. They did the
It's
first
in.
human
Yeah.
test
Did
a
you hear
couple
about
weeks
that?
ago.
It's in.
Do you think
Neuralink.
it's going to get to a point where you can like pair with other brains that you
Yeah,
like?
100%.
Oh, absolutely. You'll be like,
this is
join my
what's-
Spotify channel.
This is
Right.
what's currently
QR
going
code
on.
will pop up in
Right.
the back of your head. Join my Spotify if
the
you wanna
first
listen to my
person
jams.
with an implant took place like 3 weeks ago, and
You
the-
look very serious about this.
Is it you?
no,
This is
but-
real knowledge.
This is like world changing shit. If,
No, this
if-
is
I know
crazy.
it's
if all that's
world-changing
promised
shit.
gets delivered, like paralysis will no longer exist. Schizophrenia,
You know what?
epilepsy.
What about pain?
Why?
you could probably
Yeah,
circumvent
we
pain,
need pain.
in terms of like
Pain is important.
Well,
It's
isn't
important,
it interesting
but,
when you
know.
start thinking about that type of stuff? It's like your brain is this thing, and it's like a sponge that floats in whatever.
in there. Yeah.
And then it's got all this connective stuff, and then that makes us move, and that makes us think, and that makes us talk, and that makes us walk.
Right.
And that makes us feel good, and that makes us feel bad, and then the whole other concept of like your reality is literally like just your brain's reaction to whatever the hell is going on. So like there's cultures where it's something that is perfectly acceptable in one culture is like sacrilege and the worst thing in the world in another culture, right?
I mean,
Right.
You can come up with
examples galore. The Spartans
eat
were
bacon.
raised to kill and
Jewish people do
maim
not eat
people, and
pork.
if any of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
were expected to do the
Simple,
things that
yeah.
they did, we'd be like, "What is that a difference in?"
Right,
like,
but it's like you think about like the traumatic effects of things, right? It's like this happened to me and I was never the same again.
But if you're raised in a society where whatever happens to you happens all the time, it's probably a lot different.
Well, yeah. The point is it's like a perception. It's all like
Totally.
like we get to choose what reality is,
Totally.
right?
For sure.
And with things like pain, it's like this is something that hurts. It's not actually hurting me. It's not like sometimes it is. Sometimes like I'm having a heart attack. Other times it's just my
A
back.
signal.
It's
It's just
a
a
signal.
signal.
right? And it's like cool. I picked up on the signal. Now I know that there's a potential issue there,
Right.
And I can make it go away.
Right. No,
But
totally. But-
your body doesn't make it go away.
But there's also a possibility, like, so currently the way that this is all working is Neuralink, the way that Elon tweeted it and described it is this individual, I don't know that they're named as a public figure, but they've received the implant, they had
Yeah.
some impairment.
Yeah.
They're capable of manipulating a smartphone or a computer using their mind,
Right.
keyboard and mouse.
Yep.
Which allows them through a computer or smartphone to control nearly everything that would be essential to their life, right? Like if you have a need to control
Yeah.
something else,
Yeah.
using a computer or cell phone as
Well,
proxy is
especially with like
effective.
home share or whatever.
right,
or
right.
Like
Yeah.
Nest.
Intelligent,
Right.
Turn
home
the-
design.
turn
right?
the-
Turn the lights
so-
on, turn the
but-
heat
but-
up, turn the
and
Call
air
yourself
down.
an Uber by looking at your phone.
cook
That's
me
crazy.
a sandwich or cook me a burger.
Whoa! I mean, if you've got Optimus.
This isn't the
if you've
Jetsons.
got Optimus living in your kitchen,
Maybe.
the
But my point is that
humanoid
there
robot.
is a lot of room to go before it's like, oh, yes, we're going to circumvent the pain, receptors
Well,
in
I
your
mean-
brain. But there's also
If
like
you-
an aspect of it where, what you're saying is like pain is just a signal. Like, yes, but what if your perception of pain, instead of it being a physical thing, was a like cognitive tick where you just know in your head, you're like,
Or
oh,
just like
I'm at a 15% of my threshold for pain in my right arm because of something, and
A
you can
red
know that.
checkbox
but
or something.
but then there's also there's a lot of you can take this to the nth degree in many aspects, but
I
there's
think-
also an aspect of it where it's like you could envision a world where everyone that has one of these implants has Wikipedia in their brain at zero latency. Like,
You know, that's-
just,
and
you
that's-
know what I mean? Like,
knowledgeable.
Yeah, yeah.
there's some crazy aspects of
It's
it that
totally
I don't know
cool.
that are fully explored.
I think that that's really awesome, and having access to information is really good. I think we're like one step away from that already because we all carry around cell phones,
Right,
and we have access.
Well, and what's the difference between making your cell phone pull up a Wikipedia article
or it
and
comes
just,
through your glasses, or it's in my
it
brain.
pops
It's
into your
all the
head,
same.
right.
But there's another part of that which I think is really, really beneficial. But it's up for debate, which is like, think of childhood trauma.
Sure.
Like, all the times we traumatized you guys, and
Totally.
we hurt you. No, I don't
no
think
fucking sprinkles on my Sunday, man. Are you serious?
the point is there's people out there that have had like awful things happen to them or seen awful things, and like that debilitates the rest of their life. Like that's their defining
yeah,
moment. It's
PTSD,
like this
yeah.
happened to me, and because of that, I will never ever be the same again. And in some instances, with some experiences, negative can be a very positive thing in the overall. When you look back on it, it's like I suffered, and I look at like my job, right? I did all of this, and I got my ass kicked, and it was difficult, and it was hard, and I learned, and I got and but it wasn't all fun and games. I learned, and eventually I look back on it, and I'm like, God, I'm glad I had all of those experiences. And they made me stronger and more resilient, and blah 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 blah. But there's a line, right, where it's like, no, actually, with some people, that completely fucked me up. It turned me into a drug addict who's in prison, right? Like
Right.
that's what happened. Like
Sure.
I got this happened to me, and as a result, it put me on the wrong path, and all this bad shit happened. Like there's a way to fix that with this type of a technology.
Far enough down the line, yeah.
But it's an interesting thing because sometimes you're like, well, I don't want to fix it.
Well, but here, okay, so
And where do you draw that line? I'm not suggesting I have any answers.
No, but-
I'm simply saying there's a conversation there.
and I agree. And I understand what you're saying 100%. And I think that in many ways, what you're saying makes a ton of sense. But I think that what you're describing is the emotional side of pain. And to me, the emotional side of anything is the one part that we are likely to be able to hold on to and keep as humans, that technology is not going to be
I know
ChatGPT
what
is
you're
never
saying.
going to be able to recreate the emotional response you have to something. And that goes for the greatest greats and the lowest lows. Like ChatGPT is never going to be able to make you feel the same way you're going to feel when you watch our daughter walk down the aisle to get married.
Right, but
Or
I don't think
Neuralink,
it's cool
I
to
think
say
is what we're
that.
talking about.
I don't think that it's cool to say that because that's putting a limit on technology that you are or are not aware may or may not be able to happen. Now, I'm not suggesting. I guess what I'm saying is the technology will be able to get there at some point.
Oh no, I'm sure it
I
will.
mean, if you look at the technology from 3 years ago to this to today to 3 years from now, this shit is getting
But-
fucking fast,
but
man.
that's
This is,
manufactured emotion, which to me is not real.
excuse me.
I don't know how you're saying
I
manufacturing.
hear what you're saying. Let me keep going for 1 second because I want to make sure that I'm being clear.
Okay.
Okay.
You are suggesting that it can't, and I'm suggesting that it might. And I'm not, and that's not the argument I'm going after here. The argument I'm going after, or the conversation I'm looking for, is should we have those conversations? If it could,
Oh, we have to have those conversations.
Of course we do. But the point is if it could, would we want it to? And to fill that out, if it could change your emotional response to things, would we want it to? And in some instances, I think the answer is absolutely. And in others, we would say absolutely not. And there is pay to play. There is, I learn from my mistakes. There is, I like pain and frustration and anger makes life better on the other side when you get through, right? There's
Sure.
like,
Exactly.
I had all this adversity and I fought through it,
Right,
and
but
now
if
I'm a
you're-
stronger, better person because of it. But in some cases, it completely fucks up people's lives. In some cases,
Right. So I guess the problem is then you have to, then how do you,
differentiate. I know.
well, right. Like, okay. So where my brain goes when you're saying this is imagine a woman who has suffered a sexual assault.
Yep.
You could have 20 women that have all suffered very similar experiences. Some of those women, like you're talking about, are going to be the women that are like, you know what? I am not going to be a victim of this. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to be better on the other side of it, and I am going to
Yep.
get something out of this, and I'm not going to let this
And I'm gonna-
define who I am.
And I'm also going to grow as a human being, and in a backwards ass. And I'm not suggesting, like, we all know where I
Right.
stand with this subject. Those people should all.
Whatever. That's a different conversation. But then you have women that I'm sure can't get out of bed and
Right.
can't accept that this wasn't something that this was something that happened to them, and it wasn't their fault, and
Right.
it was nothing they did, and they could not have changed it, they could not have fixed it, they could not have stopped it. It was going to happen, and they did nothing wrong.
Go more extreme. Then there's women who I'm not picking on anyone here.
Right.
What I'm trying
So
to just have the conversation.
if you could fix it,
there's
do you fix it?
No, then there's other people that suffer that same exact thing as those two examples, and they go out and they make it their like life's purpose to kill every man that they can. Some of which are
Right.
good people that there was, or they're like, I had a traumatic situation in my life, and now and then they do something to their own children.
Yeah.
And and I'm not talking down to anyone. I'm looking
No,
to
no,
have
no.
this
Right.
conversation.
No.
It's an interesting conversation is all I'm saying.
Oh, it isn't for sure.
So you're right. So there's varying degrees. In this case, this is what the response was. In this case, this is what the response was. And in some cases, the response was like super off the deep end in a very bad way, and it actually,
Destroyed the trajectory of this person's life.
right. But what if you could undo it?
That would be crazy.
What if you could undo it?
I don't
With
know when
technology.
I don't know how you undo that.
You can't.
I'm
Well,
not-
like you're talking about.
You have
I
to
mean,
like wait
no,
for them to get
eventually
into
at
the
some
rabbit
point,
hole and
like,
then try and dig them out and erase it. I don't know how
I'm
you
not,
do that.
I'm not suggesting that. That's literally talking from like what we were
We're in a
saying.
weird place here.
It sounds like we're talking about legitimately like
Brainwashing?
deleting memories.
Yeah, I
in
don't know
which
about that.
case,
That's a lot of
I'm
work.
not going to say that technology will never get there, but I don't think that they will ever, or whoever they is, whatever. I don't think that anybody should ever let any of us make those decisions by ourselves.
There needs
But
to be
then
very strong
but then the
considerations
problem
for all of
is-
this type of
But
stuff.
then the problem is, we're letting the government draw the line. If you don't get a chance to say, I get
know.
to check off all these tick boxes and this is what my Neuralink is allowed to do, some people are going to
What if
really
you
hate
could-
that.
what
Some
if you could
people are
turn
going
it-
to say it's smarter people that are smarter than us protecting us. But no,
I want to
I
meet
don't
those
think that
people.
way. Some people think that way.
I don't want anyone.
But my point is
smarter than us.
my point
telling
is
us what to do.
No, but my point is, if you give everybody free reign over their own Neuralink and its capabilities, you're gonna get somebody who makes it so that they feel zero pain and they feel zero emotion, so that they can go. Like, statistically speaking, like if Adolf Hitler had access to Neuralink and all of his soldiers had Neuralink, he could literally go in and theoretically turn off all fucking emotions and then it's game on and he can do whatever he wants. without worrying about his soldiers defecting.
Super dangerous.
You're talking
That's
about
what
like
I'm saying.
such an extreme abstract
Well,
that I don't think that's even relevant.
No, but you could get people in the
It
future
is.
like
It
that.
is.
I'm
but
never
like, okay,
getting Neuralink.
If
Right,
ISIS
but-
have to
puts,
go to the
if ISIS
extreme
puts
to
Neuralink
test
in
it.
all of their soldiers, and then they have the ability to turn off all soldiers' emotions, then it's a
Right, I
completely
understand it, but
different
like
game.
that would never ever happen.
Which
read,
is why
read a
I'm
book
saying-
that was published 120 years ago called Brave New World. We talk about all of this. Like,
No, that's why I'm. That's
we're
why
talking
I'm
about
saying
it right
I-
now.
They will
No,
do you
never
think
let
that?
us
Do you
do
think?
it,
All
but
All
where
three of
you
are
draw
talking
the
at
line
same
is
time.
crazy.
It doesn't work
I don't know.
good that way.
I think that of course there's a level of like an abstraction to this that of course there are crazy possibilities, but like the ability to delete memories, I don't think we're at that point. The
No.
ability to reprogram your mind in a full capacity, I don't think that's the reality of what we're looking at. But what? Go ahead.
I'm not suggesting we are anywhere near the capability of it. What I am suggesting is if you can put a chip in somebody's brain and they can then turn on the lights and turn off the lights and control their cell phone, then that opens up the door for a conversation like this. And
Of course,
I'm
but
not
I don't.
saying-
I don't know that
this
there's
is
like a real legitimacy in talking about being able to turn off emotion. Like that's not like
Nah.
that is not something that would be desired or
That is
like,
part of what makes humans humans.
I don't
If you're
know.
going to remove
There's-
emotion, you're talking about like Terminator type advancements in technology, like not turning
talking about a
human
very
into
extreme
a metallic
extreme.
skeleton.
That's
but,
fine. You guys aren't ready to have the conversation.
clearly.
But if
what
you're
I will
able
say,
to turn off emotions, that's changing the entire human aspect. The part of what makes humans humans is that we have complex emotions and we are able to act and we happen to or sometimes do or whatever are able to act on them or decide better against acting on them and whatever. But having emotions is part of being a human. If you take that away, you're talking about something
I'm not
different.
suggesting anything that contradicts that. I agree that emotions are the core of human existence.
But what happens
What I'm
if you take them
saying
away?
is there is a path to augmenting things.
Yeah.
And if there's a path to augmenting things, there's an interesting conversation that surrounds that, which is how would we augment it? I'm not looking to like you guys are like, we're not anywhere near, like, dude, if we can do this Neuralink shit, we're not that far away from being able to do a lot more.
I mean, okay.
No?
They could
I think
bury
that
us
there's
all in
like
the Matrix.
there's a lot of like we don't understand how memory works in the brain. So like being able to control how memory works in the brain is like 50 years out. The potential to stop people from having seizures is like, okay, we're going to recognize this pattern of neurons and synapses taking, that we can analyze this and then we can
and I would
counteract
actually
it. But
I would challenge that. And I agree. We don't know. We know 7%. We use 7% of our brain, which is bullshit.
that's not
we
what I'm
actually
talking
use
about.
more, and we don't know anything about it. I totally agree. We don't know that much about our brains. What I do know is that if we're in a spot where we can use mind control to drive our cell phones, like doors are going to start opening in that area.
Of course, but there's an aspect of
And the
external control
government-
and internal control which is completely different. I don't know. I think that
Okay.
like,
Okay. Can we take a break?
sure.
Sorry.
Hey, it's Mason from Live from the Lake. If you're feeling like supporting us today, feel free to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're feeling extra generous, follow at Live from the Lake Podcast on Instagram. Have a great day.
So what we got to talk about? Fine, lovely.
Oh, I was just gonna Noah's little anecdote in the middle of our Neuralink conversation got me thinking. When you were saying like, oh, you're at 15% capacity on your left arm, whatever, that got me thinking about like weightlifting competitions and stuff like that, where it's you could
Total sports.
have something in your brain and be like, oh,
But also, like,
fix
this
your
is all-
form or you're gonna pop a quad, something
Oh,
like
sure,
that.
sure, that.
But
yeah, totally.
then that got me thinking about the enhanced games,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
which is gonna be crazy.
Well, no, if Elon could just let you turn off pain, then you don't have to like.
You don't need.
well, you
steroids.
could like use your whole career in one performance.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah, but if you're like the
This is
fastest
also-
runner ever in the history of everything for one day,
46.
that could be enough. You could monetize that.
Yeah, but
And
there's
then
also
you're never.
the aspect,
then
though,
you can't use your legs ever again
Yeah,
because they
you'll
they
be able to use them. They'll
disintegrated.
just be broken and
You
bad.
have to think. I mean,
like,
listen,
People
that's
I'm
crazy.
not trying
Do
to
that.
bash the general American public, but I am going to say for the record, if you start looking at things like, oh, my arm's at 15%, how many people do you think are going to be like, oh, silence, let's just snooze that? And then before you know it, you've got people that are literally just falling apart,
Atrophy.
that are 99%
Well-
crap in every area of their body.
Also,
That's
this
what
is
I
all
was
going
assuming.
in.
This is
That's-
all assuming that we can make an algorithm that can decide
Exactly.
how, like, what our limit is.
Well, pain
like,
tolerance
which
for everybody
there are
is
always
different
stories.
and-
Mason, can you let me finish my sentence?
Well,
Yes.
we understand your sentence, but it's not. That's not
I
it.
didn't have. Okay, cool.
No, that's not the discussion though.
What was the rest of my sentence going to be?
You're like that is assumes that we can do this, and it's
Right.
like, yeah,
Because
but
there
that's-
are rare instances where mothers lift cars to get their children
Well,
out from underneath
yes.
them. That
No,
was the end of my sentence. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
Adrenaline.
The
baby.
point that I'm trying to make is that the conversation is predicated on something like this happening. So, if we could just have a conversation about that,
It being hypothetically
it's just
allowed,
hypothetical.
like assumptively.
Well,
if
no,
it were
totally.
real.
I just think that's a difficult thing to, you're assuming with given the ability for a machine to determine your limits, you're assuming that you can't summon something from like the ethereal, your soul being able to like, make you stronger than the sum of your parts. You know what I mean? I think there's an aspect of like the human vitriol, the will to not like pull up from your bootstraps, but there's an aspect of like people
Drive
just
and grit.
exceeding and excelling at levels that are beyond imagining because there is a barrier or something, despite all
Like in
obstacles.
those rare moments
against
where,
all
where the
odds.
mom has to
thrive.
lift the
And-
car to
and
get the car off
I
the
guess
kid.
maybe it's a romantic notion of like, machines could never truly understand how much we could do given the right circumstances. You could maybe measure my arms and say I can lift a certain amount, but if my life is on the line, or if the life of the ones that I love is on the line, or whatever the circumstance may be, I think that there's an aspect that I'm thinking of that's like,
How do you
surely the
compute that?
machines can't think of that and factor that into the equation. And if they can, then what surely there's an exception to the rule. Surely there's a John Henry or some like legendary figure that can exceed the expectations of the like what is possible. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's all I'm trying to get at. It's
I
not
think
like
that it's going to
it's
be like
impossible
Mario,
to
and you're just going to get to
quantitate,
power up.
Yeah. How do you compute in the physical and emotional aspects of situations
I'd
that?
like to think that part of being a human being is that there are ways that you can become bigger than the sum of your parts in terms of like your contribution to the world.
Yeah,
in a certain part. When the moment is dire and when the circumstances are necessary, you can rise up to the occasion.
Oh, for sure.
In a way that a damn machine can't.
Exactly.
Come at me, GPT.
No,
Slit
like-
my throat,
Well,
robots.
I
don't
think
care.
one of the like prime examples of that, at least in modern history, is like watching a UFC fight or something like that. Is like sometimes you're watching those and it gets to a point where it's like there's no way he's still awake, let alone
Right.
standing up. How is he still here? Like, how is he still throwing punches at this guy? He's taken 250 to the face, and he's still fighting his ass off.
Right.
Because a lot of those guys, it's a fight where it determines whether or not they can feed their family for the next whatever, or because a lot of those guys are sending money home because they got lucky and Dana White saw him fight. I mean, there's a million situations like that, I'm sure, but
A lot
the
of them gotta
UFC
get a
is
lot of money because when they leave that ring, their brain is gonna be mush.
well, the UFC is
They're
one
never
of
doing
those
anything again.
situations where it's like a lot of those guys, very unfortunately, like George Masvidal is from Cuba.
George?
Yeah, well, that's what Joe Rogan calls
They
him.
calling him George?
Joe
now?
Rogan calls him George.
Jorge?
Yeah, I mean, I think he goes.
Jorge?
I think he goes by both. Really? But
no one says it like they're childhood friends.
Jorge Masvidal. Like,
Gamebred
that's his name.
Gamebred Masvidal comes from
At Gamebred MMA.
comes from he's from nowhere. Same thing with O'Malley, Sugar
He's
Sean
not from
O'Malley.
nowhere.
No, he's from Cuba, but he's got no.
He came from nothing.
Yeah,
he
he's-
has
he's
nothing.
Cuban.
His
doesn't have
his
money.
family's
He's
depending on him.
he's not a wealthy man. He was sending checks back to his parents after every fight. Same thing with like O'Malley. O'Malley shaved his eyebrows 2 years ago for $50 on a dare from a friend because he had zero money. Now he's the champion, one of the belt holders in the UFC. There's crazy stories like that, and a lot of that. And I feel like for those guys, it's because they're put in a situation time and time again where they are fighting for their livelihoods, and if they don't win this fight, they're not going to keep fighting in the UFC, and then they won't be able to live anymore because they won't be making enough money. Like a lot of those guys are in a position where they're either going to keep fighting or they're going to go get a job at Home Depot or Target or Menards because they don't have a lot of other skills. I'm sure there are outliers, and that is me mostly talking out of my ass, but a lot of these guys fight because it's what they can do to support themselves and their families.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, man.
I
Super
did.
rad.
I did just Google just to make sure. Masvidal. He's a Cuban American,
Cuban American.
born in Miami,
Miami.
but he lived in the mean streets of Miami.
Well, yeah.
And O'Malley,
I mean,
he's
I know
from the
not
rough and tough neighborhoods of Helena, Montana.
Yeah. No, Masvidal was like fighting with Kimbo Slice in
no, no, no.
2009
I'm not
in a
knocking-
backyard
hey,
somewhere.
I would not want to
a
tussle
wealthy
with
man.
either man.
No.
Noah's just
But he was
just
Mason
calling.
just depicted
You just made
O'Malley's
some shit
family
up.
living in some hut in Ireland where there's no.
I didn't say that. I said O'Malley was not personally wealthy enough to the point
Listen,
to the
I'm
point
not trying to
where
attack.
2
I'm not
years
trying to
ago
attack.
he shaved his eyebrows off for $50.
No, that's all- that's
It's
all
a
that's-
well-known story.
Listen,
I never said
it's a
anything
great
about
story.
his family or where he grew up.
It's
Oh,
I
the
honestly
other
thought
guy
he
was
grew up
very
in
rough.
L.A. Yeah, Masvidal I thought was like grew up in Cuba in the slums, but maybe he grew up in Miami and
the mean streets.
exactly the mean streets.
It's
of
a great
Miami.
tale
I'm sure not
of
everywhere
humans
in Miami is
overcoming
super
in
nice.
ways AIs could not
George
even
lived
imagine.
in West Palm Beach.
George, yeah,
George. Yeah, George. Yeah, I don't know. But in sports, I feel like, and everywhere, there's a lot of situations where it's like, oh, this is what I'm doing because this is what I can do. So, and I'm not going to let anything stop me because this is what I've decided I'm doing. Which is, I think, a lot of, or I think is very impactful in human nature. If you sit down and decide that this is what you're doing and don't give yourself another way out, you'll figure out a way to make it work in most cases.
Or you could just turn your pain receptors off.
For
Scale
only
it up.
$50,000.
Hey,
for
man.
the
Scale
implant.
down your
Hey,
emotions.
no
and
pain,
not
no
get all
gain. It's a
freaky.
saying for a reason. No pain, no gain. You don't learn anything
Pay
if
to
you don't
play.
get hurt every once in a
Or
while.
maybe you use the implant to give you the pain, to have the gain. You know what I mean?
there you go.
From
Just
your
a-
condo.
Just a
Maybe you
torture
use your
sequence
receptor to
from-
take your
from
pain
bed.
and give it to your foes when you
penthouse.
pass them.
Yeah, I mean, but that also
You
like
just store it up and spit it out at people you don't like.
what happens to the workspace or the work
World?
world, like the working class when everybody has Neuralink.
I think that there's a
If
big
you
aspect
can
of it.
look
that-
up and get a step by step on how to perform a surgery, really the only thing differentiating you between a surgeon is practice.
There's
So,
an
like, how do you-
aspect of
How
it
do you
that-
pick who's the best at what if everybody has access to all information at all times?
I mean, I'm probably going to stick with the surgeons that I know have like the actual accreditations.
Maybe that wasn't the best example, but like if I can look up
there's an aspect of this that the big cutting edge to the Neuralink in terms of how he's described it, Elon, has been
Who?
Elon Musk,
the proprietor.
Who's that?
the CEO of Neuralink, I believe, founder, one of the founders. I think no, maybe he didn't.
Owner of X.
I don't know. I haven't
and,
gotten to that part in the biography quite yet. He
You haven't finished the book.
it's 700 pages.
Chill, Dad. Chill.
Let's.
It's like Harry Potter and the
are we
Deathly
gonna-
Hallows.
Was it an assignment, Father?
Except boring.
But a documentary.
Excuse me. I've been doing other things.
Or biography,
The
rather.
way that it's been
Sorry.
described is that it's an efficiency problem, right? Of like you go down when you move from a computer to a cell phone as the primary mode of communication. You're going down from 10 digits to 2 digits in terms of typing speed. The big advantage of having a neural implant for day-to-day use for everyday people is that you have a seamless efficiency rate of communication. As soon as you can think of a word, you can communicate it, as opposed to not 10 fingers of expression per time unit, but you can just freely think things as opposed to having to translate it into salute.
Excuse me. Thank you.
There's a zero latency translation between thought and written word, if that is your
Well, that
end
could be
goal
very
or what
dangerous
have
as
you.
well.
So, but also like if you had a thought, an idea, a song in your head that you could think of the words faster than you could even say them, you can still write them that fast. If you could think of words, which is a kind of crazy thing, like nobody's ever had to think about the fact that you can say word or think of words faster than you can actually correctly say them. If there are, people that grow up from a young age with an implant in their head that are capable of thinking at a rate that is 10 times faster than you could say the words and effectively communicate them. Like, that is no limitation in this domain, which has never been a possibility in terms of like how humans have communicated since the dawn of time. Like, you always have to have a medium in which your words are communicated. You can speak faster than you can write, but there's nothing that you can do faster than you can speak, certainly, right? But there's now all of a sudden this potential doorway of being able to open it to just raw thought and being able to not only write down raw thought in as quickly a manner as you can think it, but also communicate it to an individual or communicate it publicly or communicate it in some specific fashion that exceeds the written word. Maybe you're thinking in visuals and you are thinking pictographically about specific things, or you're thinking about an idea about how to build something and you're thinking visually in your head. The fact that there's a possibility to be able to document something like that in as quick of a speed and at a rate that is as quickly as you can think is kind of bonkers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that would be. I mean, at least from my perspective, I go to like building things. We built this bar. If I looked at the room and said, okay, this is what I'm imagining, and then I could take that and print it out, and then he could say, this is what I'm imagining, and take that and print it out.
Well, right,
then
but
I
not
could
even
see
print
all,
it. Just
no,
send it
just
to you
send
in
it to
your
me and be
mind.
like, oh, I was thinking about this completely wrong. This is what you want, so I'm going to build it.
And you can visualize it in the space, like you could
Exactly,
with, like,
you
these
can-
new like
you
Apple
can-
headsets and stuff. Like you could
Yeah.
augmented reality.
Yeah,
just
exactly,
see it
AR.
in the same way as someone else.
Well, and you
without-
could take that to to an
anything
even
other than
further
thinking.
extent where it's, oh, I'm trying to build this, which means I need to put this piece of wood here and screw it into this piece of wood, and you could, like, not with something like this, but with a project template, you could say, okay, I'm looking at a piece of wood and it's got an outline of what it needs to look like eventually, or
What would
there's
be
an
cool is
outline
if you
of
could
like,
plug that into like a CNC machine.
or
So,
that,
like,
yeah, that could work.
I'm
That would
thinking
be-
of this, and then it goes to the CNC machine, and it goes to the 3D printer, and all of a sudden, I've got
well, yeah,
exactly what I want.
yeah, or I need this part, and it's not a real part. I'm trying to make
Right.
something else.
I'm also
and I
thinking
can
of
just
like
send it to my
in a
printer and have it
relationship
3D
type of
printed.
a scenario where I was like thinking of something, and I could just talk to you through telepathically.
Well, the kids get pissed when we do that now. Can you imagine if we could actually do that? We'd just never be. We would just.
Yeah. Then
Yeah, that's true. You could like just.
We
I could
really
just
wouldn't
look at
need to
Noah
talk
and-
But then
anymore.
the other
I could
thing
just
is
look
like
at Noah and
if you
text him.
have the brain
but
space,
if we can't
like,
dial up
you
and
could-
down emotions, it's all fucking worthless.
No,
So
listen, my point is, with the conversation, like you could speak telepathically,
Yes.
but then the other element of it is like, I could be talking to you right now, but also be making plans with Mason telepathically right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's if you
Yeah,
feel like
you could do that.
You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
an aspect of the limitations of the brain that we haven't even begun to explore because there hasn't been an effective method to, test it. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be really. It sounds like a real lot of fun.
Real hootenanny.
I mean, honestly, this is making me. There's a new I think it might be a Google commercial.
You could just think of a song, just have it charted,
Yeah.
play it on the player
Oh,
piano.
no, that would be crazy. Writing songs, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be remarkable. Never lose it either. Never forget a song that you wrote ever again because it's saved somewhere.
Right.
But-
That's the other one is like total sensory memory. Like,
We
like
could
you're
put
talking
it-
like walking
we
Lori
could
down
put
the
it
aisle.
in the
Like
dogs.
you could record walking Lori down the aisle and then like just pull that up and you're sitting in an elevator. You don't want to.
This is
That's
what
the weather.
this
You
is
just-
what I
Black,
saw.
That's Black.
Black Mirror.
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Mirror.
That's some crazy
Yeah, no,
stuff.
that's-
No, dude.
Got on
yeah,
the plane.
we Neuralink
I'm
the dog.
snorkeling in Kauai.
We
Well, but it
Neuralink
gets
the
even.
dogs.
You Neuralink. If you Neuralink a child,
That's-
then you could recall memories
That's
from
good.
before
What if-
the
Neuralink
human
dogs. We
memory
shouldn't
would
publish.
be able to perceive them.
What if
Neuralink
we-
dogs shouldn't make the final.
What if
cut
we
of the
Neuralink
podcast.
the dog? I read
That's
a thing.
a good idea.
I read
That's
a-
like a whole TV show. Go. I'm
I
sorry.
read a thing this week that was like the reason why dogs lick us is because we have bones and they want them.
Well, you also.
So hold on a second. So imagine if we like implanted our dogs that we've known for years and we love, and then they start talking to us and they're like, "Just give me your fucking bones, man." Like they're like all cute and like
Like Coach comes
lovey.
up to you to, like,
and then he's like,
wrestle
"I
with
want
you,"
to
and he's like, "I'm gonna
fucking
get that
eat
fucking
you. I
arm
want to
bone out of
fucking
your
kill you. You better, And they're like total dicks. Like they look and they sound like, or they look and every activity that they do and every action that
Identical.
they make is identical, but they're like
talking
It's
shit
all
the whole
malicious
time.
thoughts.
all they want to do it. They're like, why do you fucking?
They're like, I guess I'll eat
You're
fucking
back
gruel,
again.
but that's the
Great.
only thing keeping me off
keep me in
that
this shitty
arm
house.
bone.
Yeah, give me some fucking water, fuckers.
Dude, that thigh bone's got some marrow in it.
Here, come here. Let me lick that fucking arm of yours so I can imagine
imagine.
just digesting that bone because that's all I want. And they were like evil. That would be kind of weird.
Okay, then we Neuralink gorillas and teach them how to lift weights.
Then-
we've got a full capability ape, and we have never
To go
experienced
ape
one of
shit?
that. Okay,
Dude, they don't need to lift weights. They like
No,
they
no.
like
A
climb
gorilla-
trees and shit.
a gorilla-
They're constantly using their bodies in. Like,
I've done research on this topic with
God.
all due respect.
we're
A
gonna
gorilla.
We're gonna move from Neuralink to
No, I'm talking about
Gorilla
Neuralink
madness.
possibilities in the wild.
okay.
Oh God.
A silverback gorilla is currently capable of throwing up to 1,800 pounds, roughly the weight of a smart car.
Good luck getting PETA to approve you
Lifting-
going and
lifting
Neuralink
it
and
up
all the
and
What kind of
animals,
distance?
by the way.
What kind of distance? How far?
I don't know, but lifting it up and throwing it
How much
over
have you
your head is
actually
enough.
studied this?
For 1,800 pounds.
Have you studied this, or is this just like a?
No, this was one night of drunken
Cursory.
research, probably. But then you
Classy
put
act.
Neuralink in them and give them the whole tutorial of how to deadlift, and you can give it to them in gorilla language because,
No, it's
I
just
mean-
it's just straight brain language.
yeah, just brain. So you give it
Brain lingo.
Yeah, you look at him and in pure
Maybe language completely goes away in that
Branguage.
situation.
yeah, and in
Branguage.
completely clear
I think it should be
branguage.
called Bringo.
And in crystal clear
music was
branguage,
the-
you say this is how to deadlift and to bench
Universal
press
language.
and to squat, and then all of a sudden we've got a gorilla who could be up to twice as powerful. We don't
Dude.
know.
Dude, that
Oh
would be-
man, wouldn't that be dope?
Yeah,
Coco!
it would
I
be.
think there should
it would
be
be
an
fucking
island
scary.
where
Coco
they
is a
throw
female. She is
dinosaurs
not a
back.
silverback.
I remember
I'm sorry.
Flea visiting Coco. That was pretty sick. Coco tried to play the bass.
Flea is an everything man.
Oh wait a minute. So the females are not silverbacks, just the males?
No,
They don't get
a
silver.
silverback.
I think- yeah.
A silverback
The
gorilla
the
is like.
silverback is the oldest man in the pod.
Oh, I thought it was.
I don't know exactly
Yeah,
how.
you guys
it
don't know
works.
shit.
I don't know exactly how.
Let's
it
call
works.
Jane Goodall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we should.
Jane. Get
I'd
Jane
be
up
like,
on the
Jane,
phone.
what's up? She's one of the coolest people ever.
No, but
She's
there's
dead.
something about it. I think it's
We
like
can't call her.
I don't think she's dead.
I don't know. I don't
Didn't
know.
she die in that movie?
'Cause I know
in the
they're not-
movie she died.
I know
Gorillas
that
in the Mist is not.
I know that they're not.
Oh, that's
born-
Diane Fossey.
Damn you.
I know that they're not born silverbacked, but I don't know. I don't know why
If
they
you guys are
become
going to talk about
silverbacked
subjects,
either.
do your fucking homework. on the
Jane
subject.
is 89
And
years
alive.
old.
Call her.
That's precious.
Where's the phone
If I
number?
had her number,
I would guess
Get the
that
white pages out.
silverback
I would-
comes from
dude.
being an old man whose hair is turning gray.
I don't
about,
know.
like,
it could be
dream
completely
podcast
genetic,
guest.
and
Are
we're
you
lying
kidding?
and
You
talking
guys
Jane
are just
out of
making
our
shit
asses.
up.
I have an interesting weird fact. If nobody else has anything to sign off with,
Is it pick a celebrity or is
no,
it,
it's just
or
a
is it
weird
lame?
fact that I learned
Invention
Are we
ideas.
going to talk about Patti LaBelle again?
today. No,
Wait, who's that?
David Byrne?
it's not about a famous person at all. Actually, it's about
okay.
the history
Eliza
of the
Minnelli.
world.
Oh,
They're
I
saying
could.
that they think that 150 million years ago, the Earth was significantly warmed by the flatulence of the large brontosaurus and other types of dinosaurs that roamed the Earth.
Cowspiracy.
Cow methane, baby.
Sick, dude.
Millions of years ago.
We talked about dinosaurs for legit like 15 minutes last episode.
Yeah, we
so I'm
probably
glad
should
we
lay
tied
off
it
of the
back to
dino-
the. No, no,
the
no.
dino
What are you
talk.
talking about, Mace?
Oh, keep it going.
No, no, no.
We could become the Dino
we-
Podcast.
Are
Listen, man.
dinosaurs even real?
I'm just
Jurassic
saying,
Lake.
Dinosaurs are dope. I don't
My
mind.
favorite is the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Or Trizzy.
Trizzy.
No, sorry, I lied. My favorite is the Triceratops.
Oh, see, I like the.
tree
Triceratops.
I like the Triceratops.
I like the
If I was a
Stegosaurus.
Triceratops, I would run after you and hit you with my head.
Okay, then I'll be a Stegosaurus and I'll giraffe fight you from 40
If you're
stories
not
up in the
Good
air.
luck.
smart, I am going to put both of you through a nuclear war.
I have no neck.
Dude, Stegosauri.
You have no arms.
You know that
either,
we're-
Is it
actually.
Stegosauri?
I don't know, but
Stegosaurus
I can't
feels like a
comment.
mouthful.
But you know that we're working on making there's like talk of a woolly mammoth being procured on Earth within the next like 10 or 15
Yeah,
years.
because they found that.
Have you heard about this?
They found that.
I find that just
DNA.
as likely as Neuralink ramping up and down emotions
Okay.
that you shit on earlier.
Hey, I wasn't trying to shit. I wasn't trying.
No, you
All right.
you did shit all over it. This
right.
is impossible.
You're
Sick.
witnessing
We can
me
have a
think of
hypo-
the word glaciers.
I'm not
is what
saying it's
just happened.
impossible. My point is like the stuff that has been documented as being potentially in
I'm
the
not
near
asking
future
one of
is
the
not.
big
I wasn't
That.
asking about
Thanks.
possibility. I was having a conversation.
Cool.
Hey, they found that.
Awesome.
They found that glacially conserved
I think you can
baby
do
mammoth.
this.
Cool.
That's.
Cool.
I think that's where they're coming at it with, right?
I mean,
they're
there,
gonna clone
there
it.
are
They have-
several.
Baby.
we have plenty of.
We got like
mammoth
hair.
DNA.
They found blood in the
There are
one, I
several
think, right?
mammoth samples that are
We have
taken from
hundreds
ice.
of
Yes.
them. They
So-
were all
so are we gonna-
stored
I don't know
in-
about hundreds, but
Are we gonna
several.
clone
We have
one,
thousands
or are
of
we
them.
gonna make a? Are we gonna make a mega mammoth based off of all
Dude,
of the DNA
they
that
have
we?
so much mammoth
discovered.
DNA.
Dude, a mammoth posse.
It's
is
all in
reminding
like,
me of, like,
it's all
the-
in frozen molasses.
They're gonna make a four-headed
The
mammoth.
way that you said that
It's gonna be
reminded me
wild.
of whoever said that like Trump says like he sees something and then he says like he's like
That was Shane.
Oh no,
there
Shane
were so many
Gillis.
mammoths. There was so many mammoths over there. I said, how could you keep so many mammoths over here? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's
idea.
Shane Gillis.
But
That's Shane
there are a
Gillis.
bunch of mammoths and
I've never seen so many.
How could you?
mammoths.
How could you keep so many mammoths over here? That's what I said. But it's only because there's so many mammoths over
It's
here. You
such
know?
a good
lot
accent.
of
It's
mammoths.
like crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's like a walk-in.
Oh, no, I wasn't going for the Trump accent. I was
lot
just
of
going for
mammoths.
the.
Yeah, no,
lot
you,
of mammoths.
You got a lot of mammoths. Lots of mammoths.
I was walking in here. I was like, how many?
I was like,
mammoths are there
wow,
gonna be?
that's a fuck ton of mammoths.
Mammoths.
And there they are.
I'm
There's
starting,
mammoths
I'm
everywhere.
starting to feel that like memory. Like,
Mammoth
is
propellers.
mammoths
Mammoth.
the right word? MAMMOTHS.
Mammoths.
Marmots.
What
Mammoths.
mammoths?
Mammoths.
Mammoth.
It's the mammoths.
The
It's great.
mammoth.
All right, this has gone too far.
Yeah,
This
we're
has
all
gone
getting silly over here.
wild.
Man moth.
But I think where were we going? Aside
This has
from
been live from the lake. I'm Mason.
We dove.
Have a great one.
We dove.
Dove deep.
We swam.
we're divers.
It's
know?
time.
I mean, honestly,
Feeling like Phelps.
it was pretty pathetic, but we dove.
I think this was way better than last week.
Dove.
Beauty is in the
Phelps.
eye of the beholder.
Hey, what body wash do you use? It's Dove.
I used Dove.
Dove.
Yeah.
Sponsored
Live
by-
from the lake.
No,
No,
there's
no, I don't use
sponsorship.
them. I don't use them. I promise.
I use Dove.
All right.
All right, Mason. It's your time to sign off.
I did this once, but I'll do it again. This has been Live from the Lake. I'm Mason. Have a great one.
Me? Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon.
Your turn, Noah.
Oh, you're closing out this time. All right. Have a great evening. I love you very much. I hope you sleep well, and take it easy.
Swim to me, puppy.
Yeah. Swim to me, puppy.